Hey guys, this is Chris the Baptist. I'm here to read Romans 7 and to prove to you that this is actually present tense. But I want to read it, the parts that I want people to read first. So then, if while her husband liveth she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. But if her husband be dead, she is free from the law, so that she is no adulteress, though she be married to another man. We obviously get that he's talking about the present because of this right here. He's talking about the present, not his past tense self, like the sinless perfectionists want to tell you. Then it says right here, for when we were in the flesh, the motions of sins, which were by the law, did work in our members to bring forth fruit unto death. But now we are delivered from the law, that being dead wherein we were held, that we should serve in newness of spirit, and not in the oldness of the letter. And then here it says, for I was alive without the law once, but when the commandment came, sin revived and I died. And the commandment which was ordained to life I found to be unto death. For sin, taking occasion by the commandment, deceived me, and by it slew me. Wherefore the law is holy, and the commandment holy, and just and good. Was then that which is good made death unto me? God forbid. But sin, that it might appear sin, working death in me, by that which is good, that sin by the commandment might be exceeding sinful. For we know the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. Now this part right here is why people think he's talking about past tense, because they don't say, well, there's no such thing as a carnal Christian. If you have a flesh still, you are carnal. You would have to get in a glorified body to not be carnal. I'm sorry to break your little feelers, but let's keep going. For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that do I. If then I do which I would not, I consent unto the law that it is good. Now then it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. Now he obviously is talking about he already is telling people this is like he knows and he understands. This is already Paul talking, about his salvation, this is his struggles, but he's also implying about Jesus Christ, and he already knows the things about Jesus in this whole chapter. For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing, for to will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good I find not. For the good that I would, I do not, but the evil evil which I would not, that I do. And then he says now the same thing as before. Now that if I do it, it is no longer I that do it, but the sin that dwelleth in me. I find then a law that when I would do good, evil is present with me. For I delight in the law of God after the inward man. See, this is how you know, right here. This is how you know. This is how you know he's talking about him, the newer. His converting person, because he says, for I delight in the law of God after the inward man. So that means he already had been born again, because he's already talking about the inward man. Otherwise the inward man would still be dead, because that would be your soul, and before you become born again, your soul is dead. So if you are born again and you refer to, which is he referring to the inward man, that is mentioning his stuff. His salvation, it's mentioning his present tense, not past. Because otherwise he would be saying his outer man and his old self. But I see another law in my members, warring against the law of my mind, bringing me into captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members. O wretched man that I am, who shall deliver me from this body of the death? I thank God through Jesus Christ our Lord. So then with the mind I myself serve the law of God, but with the flesh the law of sin. So then what a lot of sinless perfectionists try to use is that they try to say this is past tense, and then when they do that, they'll go to 1 John 3:9 saying, the man of God will not sin because he's born of God, or the one who's born of God will not sin because God's seed remains in him. Well, see right here that she's talking about the inward man, the law of God. He delight in the law of God after the inward man, which means his inward man cannot sin. which is what 1 John 3:9 is talking about. Because also 1 John 1:8 says that if you say you are without sin, you deceive yourself, and the truth is not in you. And so you're not you sinless perfectionists. You don't deceive me or anyone around you. You're deceiving yourself. Because guess what? A lot of times, if you took a picture of their daily life or you recorded their daily life, you would find that they missed the mark, or they'll say, "Oh, I made a mistake." Well, guess what? It doesn't matter how off you are. If it's a little bit off God's mark, you still sinned, because sin is missing the mark. Whether you like it or not, I can probably prove to you that you miss the mark daily. And so, yeah, I'm just telling you, I just want you to know about that heresy. This is not past tense. This is already converted Paul. Don't let people fool you. We have this struggle. With any type of thing we do, we know that sin's right next, or we know evil's right next to us. And so we have to try to, but Paul does answer a way to find comfort away from our evil. It's through the Spirit. But we know there's day in and day out, we have war. We know we're going to win the war, but we may lose some battles. And that's his whole argument here, is that he is here to prepare you to win the war, but he's also preparing that we might lose some, but we will win the final, you know what I mean? So just want to show you this. God bless, guys.